The Blue Jays are forced into an impossible decision, as following Orelvis Martinez and Alan Roden having fantastic starts to their spring training, some questions have arose, some new reports have dropped, revealing some very intriguing information surrounding John Schneider and the front office's plan as the regular season approaches. We'll break that down as well as discuss a couple of other spring training updates surrounding today and going forward. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're a part of that 71% who are not subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. If you guys want to continue to support myself as I pump out daily multiple videos a day for you all, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys again as we're on the road to 17,000 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, there's lots to go over today. Now, first of all, the spring training game today that was supposed to happen in about, around now as the time of uploading has been canceled due to weather, but tomorrow we get to see Max Scherzer. We're going to dive into a bunch of new updates from John Schneider that just dropped. But I want to focus on this because we're obviously talking about, I had a bit of a video on it yesterday in the spring training game video surrounding Orelvis Martinez and Alan Roden, but some new things have dropped and the Jays are going to be forced into an absolutely impossible decision. And before I get into the report and, John Schneider making some internal comments about Orelvis and things like that, I want to highlight what he's done in spring training. So Orelvis Martinez and Alan Roden. So Roden 3 at-bats, 2 extra base hits. Martinez in 4 at-bats as a home run, a double, and a walk. That walk being against one of the best lefties in the game. And one the Jays are going to have to, maybe Orelvis Martinez himself, are going to have to face plenty of times in Garrett Crochet, right? So as we continue to look at this now and what it means going forward, the Jays are in this point now where they didn't add another bat. They were not able to get Pete Alonso. They were not able to get Alex Bregman. So now the question mark is, how can they get that other bat? And again, Alan Roden even, we're going to focus on Orelvis Martinez a little bit more, but Alan Roden as well, 2 doubles, a highlight catch, great game yesterday for him against the Red Sox. But Keegan Madison dropped this article here saying, what if Orelvis Martinez's bat is ready to help the Jays, but his gold glove isn't, sorry. Story on the idea of Orelvis at DH and worrying about next year. And I want to focus on this because it provides some, shout out to Keegan again, it provides some very interesting insight on Orelvis Martinez's future with this team. There is a real world where he breaks camp with the team this year as a bit of a DH, even though his glove is very poor. And the Jays are forced into a decision now, which is not only going to be very difficult, but extremely intriguing to follow along with. And shout out to Keegan again. This article is fantastic. He dives into a bunch of different things. So if he's swinging the bat with authority and being a threat every single time, I think that with what else we have on the roster, there's always room for a guy that can hit a home run. The defensive part is important. That's never going to stop. But if he gets to that, it gets to that. So John Schneider making comments and revealing kind of some information and the truth behind what he believes needs to be done in order for Orelvis to break camp. And him saying that on the roster, there's always room for a guy who can hit a home run. That is what Orelvis does best. Yes, his defense is bad, but like I've been saying, and Keegan and everybody, really a lot of Jays fans are saying, if you have a guy who can elevate the ceiling of this team offensively, man, oh man, you get him on the team because it's now or never for the Jays. This is the most important season in years for the Jays because you have multiple people pending free agency. You had the front office pending, front office free agency as well. The contracts are expiring. He goes on to say Martinez could continue his defensive development with big league coaches. You don't have to lock away his glove completely. And he dives into some insight here. Toronto is a fly ball pitcher on the mound and isn't expecting many ground balls. On the left side, perhaps the club can hold his breath and roll Martinez at third for a game. I agree with this. And you can see this here. Ideally, yes, he's playing regularly, but he is fairly young. Again, we're at the point where we're putting the best guys out there every single night. If that means you're platooning him or you're putting him in the right spots, so be it. And it seems to me that the Jays are very much considering Orelvis Martinez as an everyday a guy on the 40-man roster, but also a guy on the 26-man active roster where they're playing every single day, right? And I'm not saying Orelvis is going to get into 160 games, but if he breaks camp with the Jays, he could easily get 80 to 100 games. And like John Schneider said here, if you need to field, this season is the season to win. You need to field, it doesn't matter about feelings or anything like that at this point. You field the best possible team that you can. You throw out Orelvis Martinez in there against a lefty. If it's a ground ball pitcher, maybe you keep him out or you keep him as a DH. If it's a fly ball pitcher that's not going to hit many balls to third according to their analytics, you throw him out there at third base, see how he does. You're with the big league coaches. You're with some really good fielders in Andres Jimenez, Don Mattingly, obviously being a coach there, a bunch of different things. There is a real world where Orelvis Martinez can make a serious impact on this team. And he kind of said, would have had a great year and would have been an excellent season. I was responsible for my teammates. He speaks out about his suspension regarding the PED, basically just saying that he takes full responsibility for it. And Schneider already said multiple times how big a camp this will be for Martinez. You can tell by Schneider's tone that it's not a throwaway line. This is it for Orelvis Martinez when it pertains to, he needs to show out. And he has absolutely shown out thus far, right? He has had a fantastic start to his spring. If he continues to hit this way, continues to hit home runs, there's a chance where he breaks camp. And that's the decision that the Jays are going to have to be forced into now. And I want to dive into a couple things. Let's look at his stats first of all. it was a interesting year. He played one game with, the Blue Jays, got one hit, right? In AAA, he was on a heater for a while, put up 17 home runs. I mean, at the end of the day, he had an interesting year plagued by the PED suspension. But as you start to look at what the Jays, need to do going forward, you look at, shout out to Fangraphs for this, you look at, their kind of projections. And on the right is their projected WRC plus, and Fangraphs has the Jays very favorable as it pertains to their 1 through 9 here. But the decision now becomes on the bench. And you can look at the bench here. Obviously, their starting third baseman on opening night in all likelihood will be Ernie Clement, right? That is probably going to be the guy. The organization is in love with Ernie Clement. They love what he brings. He's a great runner. He's a great contact hitter. All these different things, right? Projected league average hitter. Off of the bench, whose spot would Orelvis Martinez take? Now, again, the DH every single day is usually going to be a mix. And you can see up top there, the projected DH is going to be Will Wagner. It can be, David Schneider some days. If you factor in Orelvis Martinez there is reps to go around. He can play third base, not very well, but he can, throw him out there occasionally. Even second base, you could try him out there. A bit of a shorter throw might be a bit easier for him. Obviously, you have Andres Gimenez, so on days maybe where Bichette's taking a rest, where you want Andres Gimenez to get off his feet, you throw him out there a little bit. We've seen the Jays do some crazy things with outfielders, although the outfield is pretty crowded as well. You find a spot for Orelvis Martinez, and the decision will become whose spot is he taking from. Is it going to be a guy like David Schneider, a guy like Leo Jimenez? There is opportunity there. And even Will Wagner, who I think has a much higher floor than Orelvis Martinez. But this team doesn't necessarily, and Will Wagner's we'll start with the Blue Jays, and he'll probably play very solid, projected WRC plus of 116. And the Jays are very high on him internally. But when it comes to Orelvis Martinez, you have the chance now to be an absolute, threat in the lineup. You have Anthony Santander. You have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., two really good premier power hitters in this league. You had Orelvis Martinez, a young up-and-coming guy who can maybe hit 30, 35 home runs in a full season. He has that raw, power tool. That is what he has done. The decision then becomes, who do you get rid of? And I think there's a real world where he replaces a guy like David Schneider's spot, even a guy like Leo Jimenez, who some are a big fan of, right? There's a lot of opportunity there, and the Jays are going to be forced, especially if he continues to hit the way that he has. They're going to be forced to get this guy in the lineup. And like John Schneider said, he will be playing regularly if he's up there. And the team can never run out of players who can hit a home run, whether it be off the bench, whether it be as a DH. We've been hearing about Orelvis Martinez so long. He was one of the Jays' top prospects. It is now the time to go out and actually show you what you can do. And it's going to be very interesting. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. You can see here, Kevin Gausman, a couple updates as well before I wrap up. So John Schneider says that Bowden Francis, who is scheduled to start today at Lakeland, will now follow Max Scherzer tomorrow against St. Louis. And then on Wednesday, you have Berríos, Lucas Thursday, and Chris Bassett and Jake Bloss on the split squad versus the Tigers and the Yankees on Friday. So we're going to be keeping you up to date with all the latest news. Again, today's game was rained out. Multiple videos coming for you all throughout spring training. We're about a month and 3 days away from opening night it is a Thursday, March 27th. Everybody's fired up. I'm fired up. And Kevin Gausman's fired up as well. He threw a live batting practice Sunday, and we'll do more. We'll do one more and then get into games. Addison Barger is good. A little bit swollen. Had a little bit of a blood blister. He is good. Everything is going well. And ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to see what this team can do. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Who do the Jays replace? Do you want to see Orelvis Martinez on the team? Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.